Like, I like my chill time, and chill time involves music, so I'll listen to music late at night and just kind of sit there and just really listen. So
Yeah,
it's always nice to have something to chill to, pretty much.
yeah, yeah. I think so. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's, if it's kind of, to me, I don't know. I've got a pretty dark sense of humor, so it's almost like soundtracking the apocalypse to some degree.
Yeah, there you go.
I think that's kind of hilarious that this kind of sugary pop, like pop punk music, is being released in this kind of really dark time as well, and where it's, there are some songs on there that are a little bit tongue in cheek or whatever, and yeah, it's like, yeah, it's kind of funny to me.
Welcome, everybody, to the podcast, Casting for Two, which is this podcast. It so happens to be that. I am your host, Chris. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 379. Great episode for you guys today. Again, I gotta ask this because I am genuinely wondering and concerned for everyone's well-being. How is everyone doing out there? Feel free to let me know on Twitter and Instagram. Hopefully, you're staying safe and healthy and preoccupying your time, doing something productive, or not. Maybe you're a workaholic and this is the kind of chill time you needed. Either way, I want to hear about it. So again, Twitter and Instagram me. But this is one of the interviews. I've recorded a couple of interviews in this time that we happen to be in. And this one is a very good one, if I do say so myself, tooting my own horn. No, I have a wonderful musician all the way from Australia. I'm going to butcher her name, so I'm going to go by what I was calling her. Her name is MC on the podcast, and she is from a band called Bloods. They have a new EP out right now, literally right now. It's called Seattle, and I recommend everybody go out and pick it up. But you know what? We got to get in this episode, all right? Because it's a wonderful chat, and everybody, please listen to this, all right? And have a good rest of your day once you listen to it. All right, I'm done. MC, take it away.
Hello, Chris.
Hello. How are you doing?
How are you? I'm good. We've finally connected.
Yes, there we go. It's happening.
It's happening. How awesome. How are ya?
It's stressful times,
Yeah. Where are you placed?
I am in San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's
right.
It's just as rugged as the Outback for sure, because everything can kill you here, including the weather. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's okay. I'm from the Pacific Northwest, so I prefer that, the whole West Coast more. But it's all good.
Yeah. All right.
What part of? No, go on. Sorry.
Oh, no, sorry. I was just saying, right, heavy.
What part of Australia are you located in?
I'm in Sydney.
Sydney, okay.
Yeah, it's beautiful and sunny here today. I think it's like 26 degrees.
Okay. Now, we're all kind of going through this whole ordeal together. How is the situation with the coronavirus over there?
Look, I think in Australia we've been, fairly lucky in that they basically put all the lockdown restrictions in quite early. So we've managed to really control it. And, it's the staying at home thing, I think, has been pretty rough, and obviously the economy's taken quite a huge hit. A lot of people losing their jobs, and it's been a pretty weird and sad time for a lot of people. But in terms of what we're seeing happening in other parts of the world, we've certainly been so lucky here. But it's just such a weird feeling, I think there are days when you get up and you're like, okay, cool, I get to stay home and, work all day in my PJs or whatever. But, other days you wake up, like this morning I woke up quite blue and just kind of missing regular stuff,
Right.
Stuff like just getting, a tram into work, or just seeing people out on the street and, feeling like society's back to how it was. It's hard not to miss that, I think, after a month of not seeing it, or over a month of not seeing it.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty reasonable. Ever since I moved to San Antonio, I have been a bit more of a homebody, and just kind of stuck, been with me. And then so when this whole ordeal happens and I see a bunch of my friends who are freaking out because they have to stay home, I'm just like, well, I've already been doing it for years. I'm just like, all right.
You're an old hat.
Yeah, and I'm just, it's okay. You'll get through this. Go outside. Go walk around. It'll be fine. Wear a mask. Stuff like that. But where I'm at, it's not as bad as any of the other cities, I would say.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we get a lot of news, obviously, like everybody else, from what's going on in the States at the moment, and New York just looks so terrifying. It's so sad. Just how many people are dying, on a daily basis is pretty scary. So I think we're feeling quite fortunate that in Australia we didn't, it never got to like an Italy or a US kind of rate, which is but I mean, it's pretty wild to be going through this with like the entire world. Like we're all pretty much in the same boat. There you go. Like a tiny little microscopic thing can pretty much shut down society as we know it. It's pretty wild. It feels a bit like a reset as well, kind of taking stock of how things have run forever, and like going, God, so many industries have been affected so easily. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
And it's funny just because, like you said, it's like hitting a reset button. Now we're all seeing what we're capable of doing. And how is that going to affect the future when, this virus is now under control?
Yeah.
And now that we know we're all capable of working from home, and it's just like all these things are popping up, and it's just, oh boy, things are going to change. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, maybe people will save money on like real estate and not have offices anymore, and everyone just, gets to chill in their home and work at their own pace.
Yeah. Wow.
Not so bad.
But
as long as you can go to a cafe and have a coffee and sit down and have a meal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As far as, being, in your home for a while, do you feel like your creative juices have been flowing a bit more?
To some degree, I think. It's like with every creative person, I guess, the writing process is just so, based around your moods and you feeling like you're finding that inspiration. I've certainly been picking up the guitar a lot more recently than I have in a while, but I feel like I'm going, I don't know. I think just the shock of it maybe has made me have a little bit of writer's block, but I'm hoping I come out the other end of it feeling like I've got lots to say or a new perspective on like how I want to write. But it's certainly making me more we're doing like a live stream thing on the weekend. It's just been really cool to see, you know, the creative music community have to adapt and find new ways to, you know, express themselves or create or reach people. I think that's been really cool. So it's going to be cool to be, you know, part of that, because there's these big festivals that they're doing online here in Australia called Isolade. So, and it's basically like run like a festival. So you get like a timetable and people can go to each Instagram has like a 20-minute set of like the curated bands for that week. So yeah, I mean, I'm really, it's really heartening to be feeling like we're part of that music community. Has kind of, put a little bit more of a pep in my step. And I mean, I talk to my bandmates a lot, and we just miss being a band, you know? Like,
right.
It's different, I think, when you're in a band, like you're so used to like bouncing off each other, and so I miss that.
Yeah, no, it's like, it's almost like, oh man, where's this energy ball? I usually pass it to, you know, and like, oh no, it's all mine. And then you have too much energy, and that's when it's like, oh no,
this is not going to work. Yeah, no, exactly. No, but
no, I mean, with all these internet festivals and stuff popping up, I just think it's amazing that the human being was just like, look, we have musicians. What do we do with them? You know, we got to do something. And then out of nowhere, all these festivals start popping up, and it's just so amazing that I mean, it's cool that technology has come this far, where it's just like, you know what, we're not done playing. We're not going to let this stop us. We're going to still put on, you know, entertainment, or you know, get our creative endeavors out into the world.
Yeah, it's been really cool. I mean, and what always cuts through is just how talented some people are, you know? That's been really cool, just seeing people stripped right back.
Yeah.
You know, and then just appreciating all the various talents that exist. It's pretty magical. Like, and just that need, I think, that artists have to connect with people, you know? It's like, it's really insatiable for some people, you know, and that, I find that really inspiring, you know, that you can be in someone's living room and they still, you know, feeling like they need to pour their heart out and connect. And I mean, that's kind of been the great thing about social media in this time, is like, it's made you can feel like you're not in it. We're all together in this weird environment, and, you know, art's kind of helping a lot of people through it. And we'd be screwed without that kind of beacon of light, right?
Right. And especially, you know, like yourself included, are, you know, happen to have something coming out in the middle of all this craziness that, of course, you know, you couldn't foresee this happening. And it's just, I've talked to many people so far that have had something come out, and I just feel so bad that, you know, like it must be really awkward for, you know, to have this thing that you were going to go around and show people, but now it's just like, well, okay,
here it is.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah, it's been really strange, to be honest, like trying to come up. It's really funny because the last video clip we did for I Hate It, I'd come up with this concept of kind of like, in a way, taking the piss out of YouTube culture, but not really, because, I mean, I think it's just such its own little bubble, like its own world within our world. And, you know, when that clip came out, we were like, God, we could not have predicted how relevant this is to what's happening right now. It's like everybody's online, everybody's watching YouTube, everybody's watching their socials. And you know, now for this next clip that we're doing, we're trying to like come up with ways to, you know, film stuff that, you know, in isolation.
Right.
It's kind of like, it's a weird challenge having, you know, to put together a release in this current climate. But I don't know. There's definitely this kind of part of me that likes that challenge and likes that this is such a moment in time for the entire world.
Right.
And to, even if it brings a distraction for, however long I think the EP like runs for just over 30 minutes. Like if it's like just over a 30-minute distraction for people, to have in this time when maybe they're feeling a bit shit. Like I really like that idea that, to be putting something out that is just kind of like, hey, here's this thing, listen to it, and maybe forget about your worries for 30 minutes. Like that's kind of a nice thing too.
To do?
Yeah.
Okay. I was waiting for the last word. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm a person who, like, I like my chill time, and chill time involves music. So I'll listen to music late at night and just kind of sit there and just really listen. So
yeah,
it's always nice to have something to chill to, pretty much.
Yeah, I think so. And it's like, I don't know, if it's kind of, to me, I don't know, I've got a pretty dark sense of humor. So it's almost like soundtracking the apocalypse to some degree.
Yeah, there we go.
I think that's kind of hilarious that this kind of sugary pop punk music is being released in this kind of really dark time as well. And where it's, there are some songs on there that are a little bit tongue-in-cheek or whatever. And it's like, it's kind of funny to me.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier that, when you're writing music, you are in a particular headspace. Has there ever been a song that you've written, and I'm just saying when you started writing music, that you look over and you're just like, well, I don't know what kind of headspace I was in when this happened, or something like that?
I listened back to our first recordings, like the first EP and the first singles we put out, and I can't remember what I was feeling a lot of the time. I think this EP is probably the one that's been absolutely like the weirdest for me. I feel like I was, we've been quite prolific since we started. And on our last record, that was I felt a really deep connection with that album because it was written over a really kind of poignant time for me. And it had it was called Feeling. So it had a lot of emotions in it. And I almost feel like, I don't know, like emotionally exhausted. And then I kind of I started writing this EP because I felt like I needed to write something on the other end of that. And, it was fragments of demos that I had kind of, I write in my bedroom. So, I'd pick up my guitar and just put the computer on and just start playing chords and then start singing melodies, and it was just little fragments. But I feel like this whole EP is a little bit like that, to be honest. Like it was almost like I was just in this weird numb state where I was like, you just have to do this for your own soul. Yeah. And it almost felt like, I don't know, like, because we used to have Sweetie on bass who was, started the band with us. And this is the first thing we've done without her. Not to sound dramatic, but it almost felt like it was like bookending Bloods in a way, all the Bloods that we've known, and so I don't know, I feel like this is definitely that. Like I look back and I go, fuck, like I can't even really remember where the bulk of these songs started or what the process was. When there were songs like Feelings, or even You and Emmy, where I feel I can remember that process so clearly and what I was trying to say. And songs like Back to You, like one of our first early EP singles, I was really in the zone, in that feeling, and super connected. Not that I'm not super connected to these songs, but I just feel like these came together in a really different way to what anything else I've written has. And I feel like that's a result of, just kind of coming out the other end of that record, and having to really push myself, I think, to be creative, because, I think when you go through something emotional or like have this massive emotional purge, you feel a little bit weird and numb on the other end of it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was, during the purging, was there any song on the new EP in particular that just took a little bit more time for you, as far as either the lyrics or the music just wasn't coming together?
Yeah, I think You and Emmy that one was like, it had a bunch of different incarnations. When I started writing that song, it was pretty conceptual. Like, I had a conversation with a friend who was saying that her niece was really obsessed with that song, L is for the way you look at me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So, and I was like, how cool is it that you can write this really beautiful love song on something as, simple or childish as like spelling something out. And I really connected with the idea of like, how childish infatuation is, and how, much we turn into little kids. And I wanted to write a song that was like this torch song almost, or like this super emotional, like desperate love infatuation song based around the alphabet. and so I actually wrote the UNME sitting in a TREE, the chorus. I had that, and I wrote that really quickly, kind of driving one day, and I was like, oh, what is this song though? Like, and I wrote 3 different versions of the song, and none of it was really working. And it wasn't until like I was in the shower one day that I started singing the verse, and I was like, okay, so because I had that You and Emmy part as a verse, I was like, okay, so that part is actually the chorus, and this is the verse, and it all just kind of, it worked at the end, and I kind of Frankensteined 3 different demo ideas into this one song. And then when it came together, I was repeating that first verse again, and I was like, I want to play on the alphabet, and I want to finish that alphabet, but how do you do that in 2 verses? It was like quite a challenge. And my friend Al was like, you don't actually have to just say like one letter. Like, why don't you try saying a bunch of letters? And I was like, what if I say a bunch of letters in the like lines of the song?
Yeah. And
it all just kind of like fell into place. Like, actually on the way to rehearsal, that second verse, I wrote that entire second verse. So on like a 15-minute drive, I wrote the entire second verse, and then we demoed it that night, so it was locked in. So that one was definitely quite arduous. And it took a bit longer to get together. But then there are other songs like Girls Are Just Fucking Cool Like That, I wrote, really, that was like the last song I wrote for the EP, and we recorded that here in Australia. We tracked it here in Australia, and we sent it over to Steve and Jack to mix and master over in Seattle. But for, and I mean, like, I Hate It literally was written in 5 minutes. So it's just so weird, isn't it? Like, things just like come together in different ways. And this EP is just this weird, I mean, I feel like with this EP, it wasn't until we came out the other end of recording it that I understood it. And I've never felt like that about anything before that we've put out or done, and that's kind of cool. I think that's why it is quite different to, our other releases in a way.
So as far as, the EP, what does the EP mean to you personally?
I think for me, it's definitely a celebration of this version of Bloods, of, the combination of Mike, Dirk and I. And there are songs on there, like Girls are just fucking cool like that. That song to me was like, you know, it's pretty it's pretty much the most political I've ever been, but at the same time I wanted it to be a very positive song. I didn't want to write a song about, you know, the struggle. I wanted to write about how resilient women are, because I think we talk a lot about our hardships, and we should because they exist, but you know, I just wanted to write something just positive, because it's just so many, you know, badass women who you know, face adversity every day and just kick ass regardless. They don't let those things slow them down or stop them from doing what they want to do, and that to me is really important and special. You know, and then and then, you know, you got a song like Waste of Time that's just a jam. So I think, you know, this EP to me is, look, I've been reflecting a lot on it, and I feel like in a way I think that whatever Bloods put out next, it's probably going to be quite different. So I feel like it's almost like, like a bookend on the Bloods we've known and loved. You know, because you know, bands are funny little you know, like ecosystems, right? And I feel like when you remove any of the sums of, you know, what make up this band, and which is kind of what Bloods has gone through over the last year, losing kind of the founding member with Dirk and I, Sweetie. You know, Dirk, Mike and I are a really different vibe. So we've been writing stuff together, and it is quite different. So I feel like, you know, maybe what comes out next might be a real departure. So for me, this does feel like, like a little bookend on Fun Lovin' Bloods.
It you know, it's funny because I'm just fascinated with, you know, everything you've said, because I very rarely get to chat with people who are evolving into something else and are willing to say that to me, because, you know, I'll talk to people, I'm like, this is a lot darker, is it? I'm like, all right, fair enough. But that's pretty fascinating that, like, you feel the shift in your music now, and I'm assuming for you it's scary / exciting.
It's those things for sure. Yeah, it is. I mean, you know, like I was saying, each group brings a different dynamic, and you create differently together. And I think to ignore that would be to fight against growing as an artist. And it actually is so exciting, because, you know, we've the way that Bloods has kind of run, we've been doing it for like maybe, I think 8 or 9 years now as Bloods. And it's exciting to think that we could do things a different way, you know, particularly with me being, you know, the primary songwriter in the band. You know, I'm ready for a change for sure. Like I'm ready. I'm like, let's fuck this up. Let's do some weird shit. Let's get creative again. So there's definitely a massive element of excitement. Not to take anything away from how excited we are about this EP, but I think it's, you need to keep growing as an artist, and you need to change it up, and you need to not be scared of that. And it's definitely exciting.
I think partly why I'm also really excited that you're saying all this too is just because I've been pretty honest about it with, you know, friends of the show, but, you know, I've been doing podcasting for 9 years. This show's going to be 7 years old in July, and
congratulations!
Thank you. And, you know, it's been an honor and a pleasure going as far as I've gone. Blah blah blah. But I always think about, man, remember the early days when I had no clue what I was doing? I wish I can be back. I wish I can be back there, you know, just scared and like getting nauseated before an interview because I was just afraid of pronouncing the person's name wrong. Which, to be fair, I saw your name and I said I can't pronounce that, so I'm not gonna, out of respect. But yeah, I look back and I'm just like, oh man, and it's this thing I've just been having. Like, I'm waiting for my next evolution of me and or this show, and I don't know. I admire you and your new direction that you're going.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, yeah. What else are you going to do? Just do the same thing forever?
Right, exactly. Okay, so the show is ending. You're the last guest. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody. No, oh man,
No.
if I had any backbone, I would have just ended it right there.
No, please don't.
Okay. Well, after our chat, I'll end it. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. No. If there's one thing I love on the podcast, it's a good horror story.
Right.
And I'm curious, do you have a gig horror story?
A gig horror story. I mean, we have played, some pretty horrendous shows in that, like you have like 4 members of the audience there. But I'm just trying to think if anything ever went like super wrong. Oh, look, the thing is with Bloods, it's like we've always been able to turn things that maybe other people might struggle with into kind of endearing moments.
Yeah.
Like, I've had amps dial me on stage and we just start a chant or something. Or, we played a show at Schubas in Chicago, and it was our first show internationally, where it was just our set, and we started the set and it got the room really filled out towards the end, and we said, this is our last song, and a guy came up to the stage and was like, you've still got 20 minutes. We were like,
well,
we just all looked at each other and were like, because at that stage we only had the one EP
okay, yeah,
out, and we were like, okay, well, I guess we're playing the beginning of the set again. We just started playing. We just played like the first 4 songs that maybe like a half the crowd had heard before. And it actually went down a treat. People loved it. They were like
nice.
Laughing and cheering, So, those moments, those tricky moments, I think we've always had a knack for just kind of making them funny.
Gotcha. Okay. It would have been funny had you just busted out into that L is for the way you look at me and just sung that for 20 minutes.
Yeah, I know. That would have been great.
Okay. Well, I'm not.
We should have, in retrospect, we could have done that.
Look,
we could have pushed whatever single it was.
Exactly. I don't want to tell you what to do, but next time you should do that for sure.
Okay, we will. We will.
Thank you. New directions.
Exactly.
For the people at home who would like to keep up with everything that you're doing, pick up the EP when it comes out. And when this whole virus goes away or is controlled, catch a show. Where can they be informed on all of that?
Well, they can go to our Instagram, which is @BloodsBand, and our Facebook as well, which is BloodsBand. And we usually keep everything updated there. But yeah, I think the next show we have, it's been slated for October. It's with Waves. At the Oxford Art Factory, but let's see. Let's see if we're all out of quarantine by October.
Yes.
But yes, we'll keep everybody updated there on what's going on.
Okay, great. Real talk. This thing can't go on the whole year, right?
I don't know, man. Like, I hear different things from different people. It's just the border thing, right? Until they find an actual cure for it.
Right.
Like, you got to think, even if we flatten the curve here, like, you know, it's so easy for it to, like we're seeing in like Singapore, and
Yeah.
it's like so easy for it to all catch fire again, because all it takes is really one person to come in who's infected and start the whole
Right.
drama again. So yeah, I think it's not unreasonable to suggest that until they find a cure, it's likely there will be very limited travel and people allowed into the country, which is kind of really sad. But yeah, God, who knows?
You know,
Who knows? I wish I had a crystal ball. I cannot wait for it to go back to normal.
I can't either, and I can't wait till election happens and hopefully things change in the political parties. If not, 4 more years, that'll be fun.
Oh, see, let's just see how it unfolds.
You know, okay, I never talk political, but honestly, you know, our fucking idiot president recommended that we all get UV protection, aka lay in tanning beds, and inject bleach into our systems.
Oh,
yeah.
My, what?
Apparently,
what?
this is what's going on. Like, fuck, man.
What on earth? Everyone has easy access to a tanning bed, so that should be really easy for everyone.
What I went to school with a girl who, in order to whiten her teeth, she drank bleach.
Oh shit! That did not end well, I'm guessing.
She was rushed to the hospital.
Oh man, that's so bad.
So you know, that's what's going on here.
Oh man, yeah. People got to read more.
If only that were the case, you know.
Oh no, jeez.
People don't even know how to read anymore. Lord.
Oh dear. Well, look, you know, we all have our fingers crossed for you guys.
Thank you.
You know, it changes there soon, and you know, I guess the only way is up. You got to hope.
Yeah, hopefully, you know. I mean, look, yes. Oh man. Hopefully, this is the only bad president I encounter in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, hey MC. Thank you.
We got
Thank
deep.
you.
We got deep there.
I never talk about politics, but it's just always it's so hard not to these days.
No, of course.
So
yeah, for sure. I mean, there's not a day where, you know, you're not confronted with the decisions being made for us. So I think it's pretty natural to feel, you know, especially in these circumstances, like just so frustrated if things are fucked up. You just feel a little bit powerless, but you're not. That's what you always have to remember. Exactly. You are not powerless.
I am not. I have the power.
That's right.
But, you know, thank you so much for chatting with me. Anytime you want to come back on, and I'd be delighted to chat with you again. I'm also... as much as I enjoyed the Seattle EP, I'm really, really curious to see what you got cooking up next. I really am.
Well, stay tuned. I hope it lives up to your expectations.
Well, look, I don't have any expectations as long as you're being creative and like what you're doing. Then, of course.
You're the best.
You are, but I will let you go. Have a good brekkie.
Thank you.
And continue to have a good Avo later. And that's all the
all the Australianism.
That's all. That's it. I'm done. I got 2. I'm done.
Oh, that's so good. What about thanks, mate?
Yeah, of course.
That's a good one.
I've never heard that one, but okay, yes. But yeah, of course. Thanks, mate, and have a good rest of your day. Okay.
You too.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
You
Thanks
too.
again.
Of course. Bye-bye.
Bye.